Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to discuss poem Daddy by Sylvia Plath. This poem is published in 1965 as a part of the collection Ariel. The poem was originally written in October 1962, a month after Plath's separation from her husband, Tad Hughes, and 4 months before her death by suicide. The poem is deeply complex, which describes the poet's relationship with her deceased father, Otto Plath. Plath in her life achieved considerable artistic, academic, and social success, but she suffered from severe depression, underwent a period of psychiatric hospitalization, and attempted suicide. Plath first attempted suicide when she was 20 years old, and then she was diagnosed with depression. At the age of 30, she attempted suicide a second time, and this second attempt of suicide claimed her life. Because of her depressed life, Plath's poems are mostly melancholic, depressed, and ambivalent in tone. So this was a short introduction to Plath's life and the poem Daddy. Now let's discuss summary of the poem. The speaker begins the poem by addressing the circumstances in which she lives. She says, "You do not know the conditions in which I live." She compares herself to a foot living inside a black shoe. For 30 years she lived in this way, deprived and without color, not even having the courage to breathe or sneeze. The speaker then addresses her father, informing him that she had to kill him, though she then says that he actually died before she had the chance to do so. She describes her father as being heavy as marble and like a bag full of gold, as well as she describes his horrifying statue and calls it huge and grey. Continuing the image of her father as a statue, she describes his head being located in the blue-green waters of the Atlantic Ocean, near the beautiful coastal town of Nauset, Massachusetts. Then in some line, the speaker speaks in German language. She prays for the return of his dad from death. She's in confusion that where his father is and how he will come. Speaker also asks herself that she might be a Jew because she speaks like a Jew. She has a Roman ancestors and strange luck. In stanza 9, she again starts a description of her father and states that she has always been afraid of her father in particular, whom she associates with a German Air Force and who spoke words that seemed impressive at first but turned out to be nonsense. She goes on to describe his carefully groomed mustache and his blue Aryan eyes, and then refers again to his link to the German military. The speaker claims that he is not God after all, but rather a swastika, the symbol of the German Nazi regime, so opaque that no light could get through it. She then goes on to say that all women love fascists, being stepped on brutality by someone who is a monster at heart. In stanza 11, line 54, she compares her father to the devil, as was the wicked man who tore her passionate heart into pieces. In stanza 12, line 57, speaker says that I was 10 when they buried you. At 20, I tried to die. The speaker was 10 years old when her father died. When she was 20, she tried to commit suicide so that she could finally be reunited with him. She later on says that she later on says to her father and tells him that he can lie back now because his position is taken by someone else. And now here Plath refers to her husband. And she further says that about her husband that the someone who taken the position of her father has sucked her blood for years. She uses the word vampire for her husband. In the last line, the speaker says about her father that even villagers do not like him because they know who he was. The speaker deems her father someone who deserves contempt. So, from the summary, it is very clear that the poem is very complex because Plath initially compares her life to a shoe, living in a shoe, then compares her father to the German military, to the Nazi, and to the German Air Force, and to the devil, and she calls her husband vampire. And the several metaphors and the use of heavy literary terms makes the poem very complex. And this complex poem basically tells us about the depressed and complex life of Sylvia Plath. And to cut a story short, we can say that the poem basically describes the complex relationship, the depressed relationship of Sylvia Plath with her father Otto Plath and with her husband Ted Hughes. So this is all about Poem Daddy by Sylvia Plath. And in this video we have discussed a short introduction to poem, a short introduction to Plath's life, and a summary of the poem, a theme, and a short analysis of the poem. I hope that the video will be helpful. Thank you much for watching.